Today's lesson is about angles in geometry. And you see all the different angles here. And what we're going to do here in terms of the standards for 5th grade is this one, Measurement Geometry 2.1. Measure, identify, and draw angles. The rest of it we'll do later. Well, actually not later. We did perpendicular and parallel lines already. But we're going to measure, identify, and draw angles. So let's get started with our trusty and everybody's favorite, the tree map. So at the top of the tree map is the word angles. Now if you want to recreate the tree map, you may, but you don't have to because you'll have it here. Okay, angles. There's 3 kinds of angles. There is acute angles. There are right angles and obtuse angles. Those are the 3 kinds of angles. But in reality, there's a 4th kind of an angle. But I'll talk about that later. But really, there's 3 main kinds of angles. An acute angle, a right angle, and an obtuse angle. So first, let's look at an acute angle. First, by its characteristics or its definition, an acute angle is less than 90 degrees. And what does that mean? Well, let's go back to our angles. Less than 90 degrees. Okay? Angles are measured by the amount of space between the 2 rays. So this space right here, that is the measure of the angle. So this is less than 90 degrees, so this is an acute angle. And this, even though it's upside down, is also less than 90 degrees, and that's an acute angle. So just by looking at them, I can tell those are less than 90 degrees if I remember what a 90-degree angle looks like. And I'm going to say that these are acute. So there's my example of an acute angle. So by looking at it, there. Oops, nope, where's my angle? There's my angle. There. Okay, less than 90 degrees is an acute angle. And there's an example of one. So just by looking at it visually, that's less than 90. Okay, what about a right angle? Now we learned that before when we did perpendicular lines. A right angle makes a perfect square corner. So if you look right here, I have a little right angle right there. There's a right angle. But let's go back to our first page which had all the angles and find some right angles. There's a right angle, exactly 90 degrees. And there's a right angle, exactly 90 degrees. Okay, so there's my examples of right angles, exactly 90 degrees, formed by perpendicular lines. So let's make a right angle. There's one line, and there's another line. There is a right angle. Okay, so there's my right angle of 90 degrees. One way to remember the exactly 90-degree right angle is make your 9 like that little square, like a perfect square corner. 90. And then you know it's a 90-degree right angle. There we go. So we've got acute angles that are less than 90 and right angles that are 90 exactly. Exactly 90. Not a little bit above, not a little bit below. Exactly 90. So maybe we can make an inference here. If an acute angle is less than 90, right angle is exactly 90, then an obtuse angle is greater than 90. So we have our 2 angles left here. That is really huge. That's an obtuse angle. Greater than 90. Obtuse angle here. Greater than 90. So not 90. 91 plus. All the way to 179. 180 we'll talk about later. So we've got our right angles, our obtuse angles, and our acute angles. So let's finish our tree map. So let's draw an obtuse angle. There's one ray of my obtuse angle, and here is my other ray, and there's my obtuse angle. So one way you can remember the difference between obtuse angles, right angles, and acute angles is kind of silly, but it'll help you remember it, especially when you're just looking at the angles to try to figure them out. And that is, look at the words. Okay, a right angle is right, it's perfect, it's exact, like the right answer. It's exactly 90 degrees. You draw your little square like this, 90 degrees, a right angle. Okay, an acute angle, it's a cute angle. It's a little angle. Draw a little cute angle. Okay, they're not too big. They're little and they're cute. Acute angles. And obtuse angles, obtuse, the word sounds kind of silly, but obtuse like obnoxious. Obtuse, imagine holding your arms all out wide like an obtuse angle, knocking into everybody in line. That's what an obtuse angle does. An obtuse angle is pretty obnoxious because it's so darn huge. So an obtuse angle, it's obnoxious, it's huge, it's greater than 90 degrees because it's so big and obnoxious. Greater than 90 degrees. Okay, a right angle is right, it's exactly 90 degrees. And an acute angle is less than 90 because it's so cute and little. Those are the three kinds of angles, their definitions, what they look like, and their measures. There is still a fourth kind of angle that I haven't really talked about. And that fourth kind of angle is a straight angle. Well, how can something be straight in an angle? Well, a straight angle is basically a straight line. So, this is a straight angle. And to measure that, that is the point from here all the way to here. And that is 180 degrees. So if you think of it like if you know basketball or skateboarding, a 180 would be from here all the way to here. So a straight angle is 180 degrees. So a straight line is the same kind of as a straight angle. It's 180 degrees. So that's our special fourth kind of angle. So it's an angle, but it's special. So let's practice identifying the angles visually just by looking at them. That is an acute angle. Okay, and let me draw some more acute angles. That's an acute angle. That's an acute angle. So we make a really skinny one. That's a really, really cute angle. An acute angle. So those are some acute angles. Now I'm going to draw right angles, which is hard to draw straight on the tablet, but basically an L, there's a right angle. If I draw it upside down, it's still a right angle. Even if I draw it, no, that's still, this way is a right angle. And if I draw it like this, but it's still 90 degrees, it's still a right angle. So there's my right angles. And then my obtuse angles. What's up, dudes? I'm a huge angle. There's one obtuse angle. Let's go this way. My arm's out here, and then it's way out here. Get out of my way. Obtuse angle. So there's my obtuse angles. So just by looking at them, you can see the obtuse angles are really huge. The right angles are perfect square corners, and the acute angles are acute. And one way you can see that they're an acute angle is if you look at a right angle, draw this red right angle, which is on top of it. It's in between the two rays of the right angle, so that's one way you know it's an acute angle, and it doesn't matter which way it faces.